I did fall in love with my wife at first sight. I went weak at the knees, actually, when I first talked to my wife. The first time I spoke to my wife, when I walked away from her, I felt a magnetic force pulling me back towards her. I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I'd never believed in love at first sight. It was kind of spooky, the way she kind of impacted so much on me. And she's, I'd barely spoken to her, and I knew straight away. It was kind of weird. And having spoken to her, the first time we kind of got together and I went out and chatted, she's an unusual woman. She's so clever, but she's like an alien. It's just like the way she looks at the world. Sometimes you wonder if she's been on this planet her entire life. If I've been chosen as the first human to interbreed and make a intergalactic child, I'm very happy to do that. She's incredible. I'm not sure she's from this planet. One of the first conversations we had, she told me she had a list of things she wanted to achieve in her life, like a bucket list, 30 things to do before you die, like climb Mount Kilimanjaro, do a parachute jump. There were things like that on her list. But the third thing she told me about on a list of things to achieve in her life was to build a pyramid out of Ferrero Rocher chocolates, like they have on the ambassador's reception advert on TV. That's her third lifetime ambition. To even think of wanting to do that at all, I thought was incredible. But if that was one of your lifetime ambitions, wouldn't that be incredibly easy to do? All you have to do is buy some Ferrero Rocher chocolates and borrow a tray. Bang, that's that one ticked off. Let's look into parachute lessons. Come on, we're not getting any younger. Let's move this along. So the fact it was an unfulfilled ambition, that's what really did it for me. The fact that she wanted to do that, but she couldn't be bothered. That is the woman for me. Our first Valentine's Day came along. We hadn't been together that long. It'd been quite a struggle getting there. We'd had some hurdles to overcome. It was too early to make a massive romantic gesture. If I'd bought her a big present at this point, it could have derailed everything. What if she hadn't even got me a card? She hadn't got me a card, as it turned out. They don't have those on her planet. But what I did as a small romantic gesture, I bought her a single Ferrero Rocher chocolate with a note attached saying, if we're still together next Valentine's Day, as I hope and believe we will be, I'll buy you another Ferrero Rocher chocolate. I will keep buying you Ferrero Rocher chocolates every Valentine's Day we share. If this relationship lasts as long as I know it's going to, eventually you'll have enough chocolates to build that pyramid and fulfill your ambition. Yeah, it's nice, isn't it? Watch and learn, fellas. Obviously, that's going to take quite a long time, right? By the time she has enough chocolates to build the pyramid, the early one she's been keeping in a tin for 50 years will be mouldy and desiccated, probably crumble to dust as she touches them, like something from Miss Havisham's feast. But it's a romantic gesture. But as a romantic gesture, that means I have to keep doing it, right? Couldn't just get to the second Valentine's Day and go, didn't mean it. Thought it was good, thought it looked good, thought you might give me a blowjob. That'd be the same as saying I didn't love her anymore. And I wanted to do this. I thought it was a nice idea. But the second Valentine's Day, I thought, well, let's speed this along a little bit so she can build this pyramid before I'm an old man, mouldy and desiccated myself. So the second Valentine's Day, I got 2 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. So she's now got a total of 3 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. She's not allowed to eat them. She's keeping them in a tin, waiting to build the pyramid. The third Valentine's Day, I had to make quite an important decision. Was I buying the number of Ferrero Rocher chocolates equal to the number of Valentine's Days we'd shared? That would be 3. Or was I doubling the Ferrero Rocher chocolates on a year-on-year basis? It was at this point I made a foolish decision, which didn't fully take into account the power of exponential mathematics. I thought, let's speed it along a little bit, get a chance to build the pyramid. I got 4 chocolates. She's now got 7 chocolates. But the convention's been established. There must be chocolates every year, and they must double every year. If the next year I'd just got 4 chocolates again, she'd have said, oh, I notice your love hasn't doubled this year, then. That would be the end of the relationship. So the next year I got 8 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. She was then up to 15 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. Not enough to build a pyramid yet, but she's well on the way. But it was going to make the years to come pretty interesting, wasn't it? The next year's 16 chocolates, the next year's 32. This year, 2014, I've just bought my wife 64 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. Seriously. She now has 127 Ferrero Rocher chocolates in a tin in various states of decay. Which, to be honest, is probably enough to build quite an impressive pyramid. Doesn't mean I can stop. The convention's been established. There must be chocolates every year. They must double every year. The next year, 128 chocolates, then 256, then 512. In 2020, I'll be buying 2,048 Ferrero Rocher chocolates. If we're still together 10 years after that, 2,097,152 unpleasant-tasting, gold-wrapped, testicle-shaped sweetmeats. To add to the 2,097,151 chocolates she's been storing in a huge variety of containers all over the house. Tins and casserole dishes, basins. There'll be barfuls of the stuff Some rotten, some relatively fresh. This romantic gesture is going to bankrupt me. There is literally no way out of it now. I've thought this through. I've really thought of this from every angle. I've got 3 options. I've thought of every option. My first option, this is the most honourable one. This is probably what I'm going to do, is to kill myself. As long as my Ferrero Rocher obligation has been fulfilled at the point of suicide, everyone will be happy. Did he at least buy the correct number of Ferrero Rocher chocolates last Valentine's Day? He did. That must be some comfort. It is a comfort. My second option is just keep buying Ferrero Rocher chocolates until our house is so full of Ferrero Rocher chocolates it explodes like a cartoon. They come out of the chimney. My third option is to divorce my wife. It would seem a shame to end the most successful relationship of my life merely because I'd failed to understand the nature of maths, despite having 2 A-levels in that subject. By 2020, by my reach, she'll have well over 4 million Ferrero Rocher chocolates. I think that might be enough Ferrero Rocher chocolates to build a full-size, full-scale pyramid of Giza-sized pyramid that we could actually live inside, which would at least solve the storage issues. The problem with that, of course, is the year after that we'll have 2 full-size pyramids. The next year there'll be 4, then 8. It won't be long before we've got 2 million full-size Ferrero Rocher pyramids dotted around the countryside. My whole life will become dedicated to earning enough money to buy the land to build next year's 4 million pyramids. Pay people to raise the existing buildings on that land to the ground. Paying to rehouse the Ferrero Rocher refugees, as they will become known. Move them to a new homeland. Paying people to build structurally sound, engineered, inhabitable pyramids out of chocolate. Paying people just to make the Ferrero Rocher chocolates in the first place. Think how many hazelnuts that will require. The whole of the world's agriculture will be dedicated to 1 nut. I won't be able to afford this. I'll have to enslave the nation and then the world in a grotesque confectionery parody of the way the original pyramids were built. On the plus side, Ferrero Rocher can do pretty well out of this. I'd buy some shares now, mate. Honestly, get the shares. It's the only way to avoid the Ferrero Rocher serfdom of 2060. You'll be a rich man. You can buy your way out. The point is, love is all well and good, and romantic love is all well and good, but maybe true love is deeper than that. It's more prosaic. It's about making things work out on a day-to-day level. It's kind of just trading off, making compromises, just dealing with the day-to-day rubbish we have to deal with. I mean, in a sense, that day-to-day life is less romantic than those early big gestures, but in another sense, it's more romantic that we try to make it work, even though that kind of initial burst of excitement and love has gone. I did this routine, I guess about 4 or 5 years ago, the first time my wife saw it, she said, I love the Ferrero Rocher routine, because it's a true story. She said, was I supposed to keep all of the chocolates? Because you know the ones you bought me this year? I ate all of those. So what do you mean you ate them? You meant to keep them and build the pyramid? She said, I didn't understand. I said, what part of it didn't you understand? What do you think we were doing? It was clearly stipulated. There's nothing I can do. If I'd fuck this up, I'd be in the doghouse for months, because it's the girl, fellas. You just have to suck it up. What are you doing? Are you building the Ferrero Rocher pyramid in your stomach now? Is that your new ambition? Are you shitting out Ferrero Rocher chocolate shit? And then moulding that into a gigantic chocolate shit pyramid? Shit only directly out from food that has been Ferrero Rocher chocolates and nothing else. Because to be honest, I didn't spot that on your original list of ambitions. Must have been near the bottom, was it?